Hey there. So one thing they tell you to do when you start trying to grow a YouTube channel is to reply to every comment. So a handy way I've been able to stay on top of responding to comments is that I've set up YouTube to email me anytime a comment has been posted on any of my videos. That has worked great. Like, I was always overjoyed to see that somebody took the time to leave a comment on a video that I've made.
Except for those 4. Know who you are. Rude!
Then about 3 months ago, we uploaded this video and everything changed. So that video currently has over 375 comments, which is more comments than I have subscribers. I tried my best to respond to each one with a unique response, but after about 250 or so, I just kind of gave up. So today on Americans in the Motherland, we try our best to respond to all the comments on our culture shock video once and for all. Let's begin. So when we made that video, we thought it would be mostly seen by Americans, and we also thought we kind of explained what culture shock was, but it's apparent that we were wrong on both accounts. In fact, thanks to the wonders of Google tracking everything you do on the internet, YouTube can tell me that over 84% of you that have seen that video were from the UK. It also tells me that over 99% of the people who watch that video aren't subscribed. So if that's one of you, you can help change that number right now by clicking on the button below. All that to say, almost every comment on that video came from somebody in the UK. And if there's anything that can unite the United Kingdom, it's correcting an American. And also, like I said, we didn't do a great job of explaining what culture shock is. So real quick, I'm gonna let Rachel explain that for you.
So, culture shock is when you have social norms that you've had your whole life and you smack up against a different set of social norms. Some examples could be, if you go to Japan, you don't speak Japanese. That's a culture shock. Likewise, you normally, your whole entire life, have bought eggs in the refrigerated section. You move to another country. Nobody tells you about the differences in the eggs, so you have to find the eggs in a different aisle, and now going to the grocery store is way more taxing than it would have been in your own culture. Hence, a culture shock. It's not a permanent thing, it's just an immediate issue when it smacks up against your norm. One more thing to note, culture shocks are not good or bad. They are just different, and you have to just adjust and get used to them. Just because you found eggs not in the refrigerated section doesn't mean it's a bad thing, it just means it's different. And so you get used to it and adapt. And now you have a cute little egg thing in your kitchen that holds them, and you can tell when you run out quicker, and they taste better because they're not cold. And now for the responses.
Well, thanks, Rachel. Now, like I said...
You're welcome.
Now, like I said, there's over 375 comments on that video, so it would take a really long time to respond to every single one of them. But luckily, you can group a bunch of them into a few different categories. So the first category is just positive feedback. We are super thankful to everyone who left an encouraging comment and just welcoming us to this great land. Of course, there's also another category that I'm just gonna call negative feedback.
Not a fan.
Luckily, those were few and far between, and honestly, one thing we've learned is that if there's a British person making fun of you, they actually probably like you. Though I will say, if some of you are just trying to take the mick out of us, it is a text-based format. We can't hear the tone of your voice. It's a little hard to tell. Then there's the correction category. If you haven't seen that video, we went over 6 different culture shocks that we experienced when we first moved to the UK. There was a lot of comments, mostly on 3 of them. First, the biggest one by far was currency.
I knew it.
You see, we mistakenly said that there was different currencies in the UK, when in reality, there is actually one currency, the pound, and different countries' banks can issue like their own version of the pound. It's kind of like if each state had their own version of the dollar, which we all know if that was possible, Texas would be the first one to do that. While this money may look different, it's all still the pound, so it should be able to be used throughout the UK. And if somebody doesn't accept it, you guys shared another famous line that you use in that kind of a situation.
I think you'll find, pal, that's legal tender.
The second biggest correction that you guys had was eggnog, which was a little weird to me, but...
That was the second?
Yeah. There's a lot of comments about asking what is eggnog, which the answer to that is the greatest drink ever. Some comments gave me alternatives, which is great because I will try these, but some like Snowball And I'm sorry for what I'm about to do to the pronunciation of this word, advocat. And some let us know this fun fact that actually eggnog was first started in the UK. And apparently it's just one of those things that us Americans took and made better, like The Office. And the third one that had a lot of comments was what we said about not having a lot of choice in the supermarkets over here. That's not to say that we just can't find anything. In fact, there's a lot of things we find here that would be really hard to find in the States. But that doesn't change the fact that there is a lack of variety when you compare the two. And again, that was a culture shock. It's not something bad. It's just something that was different that we had to get used to. And if you are in the UK and you still don't quite understand or grasp what I mean when I say the US supermarkets have more variety or more choice, here's an example. If you go to Asda.com and you search for ketchup, you'll have 10 different choices to choose from. If you go to Walmart.com, a company that owns Asda, and search for ketchup, you will have literally 1,000 different choices to choose from. Now, do you need 1,000 different choices when it comes to ketchup?
No.
No, not at all. But this isn't about being practical. This is about giving you choice, because that is the American way. There are also several little groups that I just want to comment on real quickly. Yes, we do refrigerate our eggs in the US. Yes, a check does have your bank information. Are you gonna die?
Sorry.
Yes, a check does have your bank info.
Hold on. I tried to hold it in, it didn't work.
Yes, checks do have your bank information, but checks are rarely used still in the US, and you're usually only giving them to somebody you trust or as a transaction. You don't just post it somewhere online. Yes, tax is almost never included in the price in the US, and here's a fun fact. Tax changes depending on what state you're in, and if that wasn't complicated enough, the tax actually changes depending on what part of the state that you're in. Yeah. So unless you're in one of the 5 states that don't do any sales tax, get ready for a little bit of a surprise at the checkout. Some of you had questions about coffee, and I'm not the coffee expert, Rachel is, and so
he's right. I am the coffee expert. And despite the comments, y'all, an Americano is not what I would call, or what Americans would call, a black coffee. I'm not referring to espresso-based powder that has been put in a little pot of espresso with a very beautiful crema. Coarser grind, where you put the coffee in a filter. Espresso when I say a black coffee. I do know that it is jargon because I've been a barista. Some people still ask for milk, which is weird to me, but whatever. This is a Chemex. You put a filter in here with coarse filters down into the bottom, hence a filter coffee. Monmouth Coffee Company in London, if you're around there, by the way, they do a very beautiful term for the beverage made with coffee beans. However, you would say I'm getting a latte or a cappuccino or a coffee place, and I'm looking on the menu looking for a filter coffee and realizing that it doesn't. That being said, it was a little bit of a culture shock trying to get the coffee that I had in my mind as normal, only to find that everything is espresso based here. Still good, just different. Rant over.
thanks Rachel for that info.
You're welcome.
And that's it. If you have any other comments, just leave them down below and I will do my best to respond to them. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to this channel and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.